All right. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Model Monday Live, ranked the #1 CAD vs. CAD competitive speed modeling live stream hosted on Mondays. So congratulations, everybody. We did it. We are #1. And this is the place where CAD experts from around the world gather to challenge themselves, to learn some new skills, to pick up some new tips and tricks, and to interact with an amazing community of 3D CAD enthusiasts. My name is TooTallToby. I'm a certified SolidWorks expert, certified Onshape professional, overall CAD guru, wizard, instructor, and enthusiast. And today I'm going to be taking you through some live CAD vs. CAD challenges where you are going to be challenged to take a 2D drawing and turn it into a 3D model as quickly as possible. You're going to be competing against everyone here in the chat, and hopefully you're going to earn yourself a point on the coveted Model Monday Live leaderboard. So that's what we've got ahead of us for today's stream, and I'm very much looking forward to reading all the fun comments and learning about all of you. Let us know if you're out there. Let us know if you're watching on TV, if you're watching on your computer. I see FPV Kev says he's watching on TV. Let us know where you're watching from. And of course, let us know if this is your first time joining us live for an episode of Model Monday Live so that we can all welcome you. For all those of you who have been here before, as always, I rely on you to let me know if the audio sounds good, if the video looks good, and if there's any problems. So we see we've got some people here from Indonesia. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. While we're catching up with the chat here, we're going to just roll back a little bit in the chat and say hello to everyone who is already in here. Let's take a look. So Fully Defined, Chris Bico is the first one here. Says hello and good night. I hope you have a good stream. It's very sleepy out there in Australia, where he's watching from. Hold on, let me see if I can get this up to the top here so we can see Chris Bico. There we go. And we see Pioneer DJ is here in the chat. What's up? Says, on standby from Africa, Uganda. Welcome. And Tech Hat Tamal is here. Welcome, my friend. Rockcrawler is here. Hello, all. And Daniel Weinstein is here, says, let's go. Sebastian is here. We saw him have an epic competition on Friday in the tournament. Hello, my friend. Welcome. And Lotos is here. He's going to be competing this Friday. Guntus is here. And Jalomen is here. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Jim Yu Kerberos is here. Says hello, everyone. Vicky Chong is here. Admin extraordinaire. Hello. And Rambros Workshop is here. Says, hey, friends. Paragene is here. Hello, everyone. Gummy is here. Hello, everyone. Mati is here. Hello. And the mini line is here. Says, hello, fellow CAD enthusiasts. Hello. PCR Duino, old friend of the show, is here. Welcome. Undefined Explode says, morning, everybody. Matab is here. Says, hey, good people. We're going to see Matab competing this Friday as well. Can't wait to see that battle. And Mesa Makes is here. Somebody else who's going to be competing this Friday. Welcome, my friend. And FPV Kev says, watching on TV. Gray is here. Hello, Gray. Going to be competing this Friday. All the competitors for this Friday are right here in the chat. And Hendry is here from Indonesia. Welcome. And Victor K is here. Hello, my friend. Welcome. Jim U. Kerberos is here. Giving him a second shout out from Norway. Let's go. Daniel Weinstein, first time live. Hello, chat. Hello, Daniel. Thank you for joining us. And we've got, let's see here. One Insane X Gaming says hello. Well, hello to one and all. And welcome to all of you to, like I said, the #1. We are the #1 ranked show on YouTube in the space of CAD vs. CAD competitive speed modeling live streams. So what an honor to be here with all of you. And today is July 21st, and today we're going to be getting into some CAD speed modeling practice. Hello, Dom. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, my friend. And what we're going to do here today is we're going to give you guys 2 CAD speed modeling challenges where you are challenged to take a 2D drawing and turn it into a 3D model. We're going to do some updates from the world of TooTallToby. We've been doing some cool stuff on the website. And of course, we're going to hang out and interact with the best chat ever. Somewhere in there, we're going to do a live solve tutorial using Onshape as well. So very excited to get into it here. And thank you all. Thank you one and all. I have to say thank you to the entire TooTallToby community, to all the subscribers, to all the super thankers, to all the joiners, all the likers, anybody who's made tutorials for us, all the super chatters, all the value for value folks. anybody who signed up for Practice Models Premium, all the students, all the sharers, all the commenters, and of course, the Discord crew. Thank you all. The Discord crew officially crossed over 1,000 members this past week. So very exciting times here as the channel continues to grow, as the community continues to grow. Now we get to really get into some cool stuff. Now that we've hit that 1,000 mark, we can start doing some more community challenges there on Discord, start having some more interaction on there. And I'm very excited to see what we can do to kind of grow that community as well. But it's been an awesome run up to that first 1,000 and the first of many thousand, I am sure. So thank you all so much to everyone who's part of the TooTallToby community. We saw Dom Linder come into the chat while we were doing the welcomes. We saw Kate come into the chat as well. Hello, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and great to see you in here once again. And today we are going to do a live solve using Onshape. It's going to look a little something like this, a little sneak peek of what that live solve is going to be. But of course, we're going to be doing that on the TooTallToby website as well. So make sure that you get signed up for a free account on the TooTallToby website so you can participate in the second half of the show. But here in the first half of the show, the best way that you can participate is by taking a moment to hit the like button on this video, to subscribe to the channel, and of course to share and reshare, to go out to your coworkers and to let them know what's going on Mondays and how you have gotten so good at CAD over just the past few weeks. They're probably all wondering, like, what are you doing to get so good at 3D CAD? And you can let them know. I'm tuning in to TooTallToby's live streams. I'm tuning into Model Monday Live. I'm participating in the Practice Models app. That's how I've gotten so good. All right, guys, let's get into it here today with our very first CAD speed modeling challenge. The way this is going to work is I am going to show you a 2D drawing, and you are going to try and turn that into a 3D model. Then you're going to calculate the mass of that model. So make sure you look at the title block. And then you are going to enter that mass directly into the YouTube chat. Now, in order to get that mass correct, you do have to have the correct materials assigned to that model. So we'll talk about those materials in just a moment. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to do things a little differently. We're going to do the same contest, but we're going to do it over on the TooTallToby website. So make sure you sign up for a free account over there so you can participate in the second half of the show. Now, the basic rules are that you can use any 3D CAD package as long as you can input a material density and you can output the mass. And make sure you use the specified precision. One of these challenges today has a more narrow precision, so make sure that you get that out to the correct number of decimal places. The first person to answer correctly in the chat will win, and you will win a point on our Model Monday Live leaderboard. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that the materials do need to be correct, so you may want to take a screen capture of what we're looking at here. You know, you could use the print screen on your keyboard, or use Snagit or MW Snap, or whatever it is you want to use, Windows snipping tool. But maybe just take a moment and make sure you've got these materials and you've got the correct densities. Now, over on the TooTallToby Discord, there is a channel called Materials Tools, where we've got a lot of people contributing and explaining how to set up materials for different CAD systems, whether it's Onshape or Fusion or Inventor, or whether you're using FreeCAD or using a Libre or any of the different popular CAD systems. You can see that over there in the Discord, there's a section called Materials Tools where you can learn how to set up those materials for your CAD system. But for today, if you don't have the material set up yet, just take a moment and do a screen capture so you can get the correct density and earn the point in today's challenges. Now, currently we see that the gap between second and first is getting more and more narrow here. Aaron C., who dominated the leaderboard last year, who started off this year strong, earning 5 points in February. I think that may be a record number of points in one single month. But he hasn't really been tuning in the past couple episodes. He's been really busy with work. He's also been working diligently on recovering some lost data for the upcoming Ivan exploit video. So he's been deciding to really focus on editing and getting that video ready, and kind of opting out of Model Monday Live. He's got a bit of a safe lead right now, but you know, he may need to be caught up with. Looks like we got maybe a little discrepancy here in the chat. Matab says he thinks he has 2 points, not one. So we're gonna have to get that remedied. I'll talk to the admin team here, Matab, and make sure that we got that correct. That may be a little mistype, a little typo there. So we'll make sure that we get that corrected. No problem, my friend. But yeah, we've got the Model Monday Live leaderboard here, and we're going to see who ends up at the top at the end of the year. Rambro's Workshop trying to close in on Aaron C. But I think last year the first place had like 28 points. So there's still plenty of points up for grabs. So Mason Makes confirming in the chat that his score on this leaderboard is correct. So that's good to know. Thank you. Glad to know that. Thank you, Corey. All right, guys, the advanced rules are this is meant to be fun and good-spirited. Occasionally, I do make mistakes on the drawings, and when I do, we just kind of correct it on the fly. And the Ivan exploit is permitted. If you're not familiar with the Ivan exploit, don't worry. We're going to be having a video possibly coming out sometime in the future. All right, guys, let's get into this very first challenge. Here we go. This first challenge is going to be live as soon as I show this print full screen. You can start modeling, and as soon as you come up with the correct mass, just type it directly into the YouTube chat. This first Model Monday Live challenge begins in, wait on a second, this looks like it's going to be a little bit off. See if we can get this into a spot where we can see everything. We don't want to lose any data here. All right, let's see if that looks a little better. Begins in 3, 2, 1, go. What is the mass of this part in x.xx pounds? Now, of course, this is an older part from one of our earlier tournaments. Modified, as always. We never give you the exact same models as we see in the tournaments. Modified, but you can see here that this is a model that is created in inches. This is a model that uses IPS, inch, pound, second. So what is the mass in pounds? The material is plain carbon steel. And this is one that we are definitely going to add to the practice models library in the near future, because this is one that I think there are a lot of fun lessons to learn and a lot of cool things we can do to speed model this and create some tutorials for this one. I think there's lots of cool kind of not really exploits, but like time-saving shortcuts that we can divulge by going through and providing users with tutorials or demonstrations of how to model this part. So we're definitely going to see a live solve or a tutorial on this model, but we're also going to see this added to the practice models library proper here in the next couple of weeks as well. So be on the lookout for that. If you're a speed modeler, you're going to have a chance to really show off your skills. For now, let's just see who can earn the point on this episode of Model Monday Live. We can see that this model is called Circ Plate. We can see it's got symmetry in 2 directions. We love when we got symmetry in multiple directions. And we can see here that it's got some kind of fun geometry in it. It's one of these parts that kind of looks simple, but as you start getting into it and start modeling, you realize like, this actually is going to take quite a few features. And thus, it is a tier 4 complexity model. So good luck to everyone. I'm going to take another sip of my delicious drink. Some hot coffee today. Oh yeah, that's good. That's real good. And we are going to move on with today's presentation, so make sure that you take a screen capture, a screen grab of this challenge. The challenge is live. The first person to answer this question in the chat, OZ1I61 is asking, how does this work? What you do is you take a screen capture, you start modeling it in your CAD system, whether it's, Fusion or FreeCAD or Onshape, whatever you're using. You make sure that you assign the material density that's shown in the lower right corner, and then you answer the question, what is the mass of this part? It's in x.xx pounds. And you answer that question directly in the YouTube chat. You just type it in the YouTube chat, just x.xx, whatever your numbers are. And if your answer is correct within the tolerance, then you will earn a point in this episode of Model Monday Live. Spider Gaming coming in with an answer already. Wow. Wow, and Metab right behind him. Wow, wow, wow. We got some fast answers here. This is what I like to see. I love when the answers come in before I even stop showing the print. That's some serious speed that we are seeing here from the chat, and that is really showing that we've got some of the fastest speed modelers in the land out here in Model Monday Live. It's a unique opportunity for you to compete against some of the fastest in the land. And we saw there that it was Spider Gaming who came in with that first answer, really came in quick. We don't know if it's correct, though. You saw Metab came in behind him with a different answer, and we don't really know who's got the correct answer, but we will find out here in just a few minutes. Good luck, one and all. If you're able to finish this model before we get to our break here at about 30 minutes past the hour, then you are absolutely screaming. These models are not easy. These challenges are not easy. What's up, Jern? How are you doing? What is the length of 0.250? It's in inches. It's in inches. It's in the unit system's IPS, and that means inch, pound, seconds. It's in inches. All right, Spider Gaming revising his answer. You are allowed to revise your answer. That is allowed, and we just take whatever your final answer is as the answer. All right, guys. Don't forget, if you enjoy these types of challenges, be sure to support the channel. OZ16 saying, those Americans, yeah. Sometimes the units are in inches. I'm going to say, I mean, you guys, why don't you guys tell me in the chat what percentage of my challenges are in, let's just ask it here. I'm going to ask it with a poll. So here's the question. What percentage of challenges are in MM? And we're going to say here 0 to 30, 30 to 60. We'll say 60 to 90, or we will say 90 plus. So what do you guys think? What percentage of the TTT challenges are in millimeters? Because I think it's pretty heavily balanced in millimeters. But you guys out there in the audience, let us know. What do you think? What percentage of the challenges are in millimeters? I probably didn't do very good ranges there. It's probably like, it's probably like 65%, something like that. The ranges probably aren't that good. So we're going to let you guys tell us. We're going to let you guys let us know what percentage of the challenges do you think are in millimeters. But we do try to create the challenges here in some of them in millimeters and some of them in inches, because it's important for our users. A lot of our users are students. It's important for them to at least know how to change their unit system. It's kind of like how we have the different materials. It's important for the users to know how to change materials. It's important for the users to know how to change their unit system. It's just very important, because as they go through their career, there's going to come up times where they need to change the unit. Now, maybe it's not from millimeters to inches. Maybe it's from millimeters to meters or to centimeters or something like that. But regardless, the skill set is still an important one to learn. I'll leave this up just for a few more moments, and then I'll close it because it's kind of blocking the chat there in the live stream push. Guys, don't forget to support the channel. You can like and subscribe. You can share and reshare. And, of course, we always say each week, your challenge is to go to a coworker and to let the coworker know about the channel. So your challenge each week is just to walk up to one of your coworkers and just say, hey, are you trying to get better at 3D CAD? If so, I got a great resource for you. Check out TooTallToby, check out the live streams, check out his tips and tricks videos, and most importantly, check out Practice Models and Practice Models Premium. It's a great way to increase your skills at a rapid rate. And we will talk more about practice models here in just a couple of moments. All right, let's see what the poll results are. We're going to end the poll. And the results are, looks like between 60 and 90, between 30 and 60, somewhere between 30 and 90% of the challenges are in millimeters. And that's good. That's good feedback to hear. I think that's got to be pretty close to correct. I think that's probably correct. It's definitely more heavily balanced in millimeters. My templates are set up more for millimeters, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me to have those smaller incremental changes, not have to deal with all those decimal places. Guys, don't forget, we do survive here at TooTallToby primarily based on working with our customers, working with our community directly. So you can sign up for Practice Models Premium on the website. That's a great way to help us financially, help this train keep on rolling. You can also join the YouTube channel, or you can even visit us at TooTallToby.com/donate. All the financial support that we can get is very much appreciated, and it goes a long way towards helping keep the doors open and keeping all this fun CAD vs. CAD tournament esport type content coming your way. All right, let's just take a couple of minutes and talk about what's going on in the world of TooTallToby. So one of the big things that we released last year was the SolidWorks training class for 0 to Hero. So going from complete novice to a certified professional in about 30 days. And you can do this by visiting us over at TooTallToby.com/training. We've got that 0 to Hero training available there. It starts out with a totally free course. So if you're not ready to spend any money yet, you can still sign up and get your basics of SolidWorks down. And then once you get done with that course, you can sign up for your SolidWorks 101, learn about sketches, parts, assemblies, and drawings. and then you can roll into your CSWP prep class where you really get some good time-saving tips and tricks. Whether you're going to take the CSWP today, this week, or even next year, you're still going to learn how to save a lot of time by mastering some of the skills from that CSWP prep training class. So be sure to check that out, TooTallToby.com/training. We also offer custom training, whether that's custom training for you and your team, whether it's sheet metal or weldment or tips and tricks, or even just working together in a consulting role where you've got an idea, or maybe your neighbor or your cousin or your brother-in-law knows that you use 3D CAD, and so they say, hey, I've got an idea. I think we could turn it into an invention. Well, if you don't have the time to take on a role like that, you can send them my way. I love working with customers when they're in that kind of napkin sketch area of the project and they want to turn that into a 3D model so they can do some 3D printing, get some physical prototypes, and then kind of take it on to the next stage of manufacturing. That's where I absolutely thrive. And I just love getting on calls with customers and having them explain to me their idea and then having them watch me turn it into a 3D model for them. And so if you know anybody, if you happen to run into anybody who's like that, let them know. Let them know about TooTallToby. Send them our way, Vicky@TooTallToby.com. And we would love to work with them in a consulting role. Or if they're trying to learn 3D CAD, we could do some custom training with them in that capacity as well. All right, guys, let's start talking about the tournament now. The tournament is well underway. We had our first matches last week, July 18th. We saw match 1 and 2. We saw Ex Machina go up against James. That was a Libre versus Onshape. We saw Sebastian go against Oyake, and that was Katia versus Fusion. And it was awesome. It was so awesome to watch. Such a great kickoff, exciting matches. Both of the matches went to 3 battles, so they went back and forth with people earning points. But ultimately, it was James using Onshape, our number 5 seed from Australia, who moved on, and it was Sebastian using Katia, our number 3 seed from Germany, who moved on to the Final 4. So we are going to see them again on August 1st when we do our semifinals, and then whoever wins their match is going to go on to the August 8th championship match. Tobin in the chat says, no one using Creo is interesting. Not the best handling, to be honest. Listen, any CAD system is welcome, and I, do my best to get out there and advertise to all the different CAD systems. We haven't really seen much of a showing from NX. We haven't really seen much of a showing from Creo, but all CAD systems are welcome, and we definitely try to get out there and let people know. And if you guys want to do the same, I know Kate is always out there, letting people know in the Creo world about this contest and about these competitions. And we would love to get users in there. Tinkercad, absolutely. Some of these CAD systems don't have to or don't have the built-in functionality to assign material or assign density, but a lot of them have kind of open source custom API capabilities or custom programming capabilities. So you could always create a custom script or a custom macro that would do density in a program like Tinkercad. We saw that a lot with the FreeCAD community. The FreeCAD community has gone through and created custom tools to calculate the mass based on density. So this is totally open to any 3D CAD system as long as you can create accurate measurements and create an accurate 3D model. As long as you can use that to calculate mass, all CAD are welcome. If I can export an STL, it can technically compete in the TTT competition. Yeah, exactly. All right. Guys, the tournaments are underway. Check us out, TooTallToby.com/tournaments. One of the things I like about TooTallToby.com/tournaments is just that it kind of functions as the wall of fame. So you can see here that we can scroll down and we can see all of our past champions here. I just think it looks really cool. I think it's cool to be able to go through and see all the different CAD systems that have won this tournament in the past. So congratulations to all of our past champions using all these different vibrant CAD systems. And very excited to see who wins this next one. It's definitely going to be exciting. The other thing that you'll see here is that on the tournaments page, TooTallToby.com/tournaments, you can click here for calendar reminders, and then that just takes you to a copy of my Google Calendar where each of the upcoming tournaments, along with their live stream info, is included here. And then you can easily just say copy to my calendar. So if you're logged in here and you're also logged into your Google account, that'll make it really easy for you just to copy and paste this, and then you'll have a link right to the live stream. So be on the lookout for that. It's just another one of the many services that we offer here at TooTallToby.com. All right. A little discussion there in the chat. I see I'm kind of watching the discussion in the chat about the comments getting filtered. Yeah, it's not going to be good if they're getting filtered, and that filtering is not going to be good for the tournament. We actually almost saw something like that from Sebastian during the tournament, so we're definitely on the lookout for it. Guys, final thing I want to just say here before we get to the answer to that first challenge is that we are doing a partnership now between Practice Models and Model Monday Live. Very exciting partnership. Basically, what you can do is you can go to the Practice Models app, and you can do a challenge here in the Practice Models app. And when you do this challenge here in the Practice Models app, what you're going to be able to see, or what we are all going to be able to see, is what's called the first 42. So here inside the Practice Models app, we've got the section called the first 42, and that shows us the first answer submissions based on when the model is released. So in just a few moments, I'm going to release a new model here on the website. It's going to show up right here at the top, Featured Challenge Practice Models. It's available for all users. If you've got a free account or a premium account, you're going to be able to compete here today. And we're going to see a second challenge show up here in just a couple of minutes, and then we're going to use the website to figure out who got the answer correct first. So we'll be doing that in just a few minutes. But what are some other things that are going on with the Practice Models app? Well, first of all, we're adding 10 or more challenges every month, and the challenges have quite a bit of diversity. So a lot of times when people ask me, what's the deal with the Practice Models app, I like to say it's kind of like a gym for 3D CAD users, because a lot of times if you're using 3D CAD, you're only really exercising one muscle. You're doing the same kind of sheet metal bracket all day, and you never do molded parts, or you never do 3D printed parts, or you never do weldments. You just do sheet metal all day. Well, the nice thing about the Practice Models app is that those types of users get access to quite the variety of 3D CAD challenges, and in doing so, they might unlock some functionality in their CAD system that they didn't know that they had access to, and that might make their sheet metal jobs a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient. So if you're in the world of 3D CAD and you know anybody who's a 3D CAD user, let them know about the Practice Models app. Let them know that we've got all these different challenges, all this different variety. We come out with about 10 models every month, and that gives you that much more variety. And beyond that, we've got some really great capabilities in the Practice Models app itself. There's over 190 models. There's a scoreboard. There's now filters. You can access community tutorials. You can access speed modeling videos. So there's lots of good stuff in here. And we continue to listen to our users to help understand what we should be adding next. We added the new Featured Challenge Practice Models section, where we can highlight some of the users from the community that are submitting speed modeling runs. We added the new first 42 section that we talked about just a moment ago. We added the speed modeling top 3 videos and the ability to submit a speed modeling video. And then more recently, we added some new functionality with the filters. And even more recently, we added some new sorting capabilities, and we added the new reset timer functionality. So again, listening to the community here, what is the community telling us? Well, one of the things they're telling us is that it'd be nice if these filters were a little bit quicker. You click on free and then it takes forever for the page to reload. Well, guess what? Not anymore. Look how quick that happened. 199 models. I click on free and boom, we're down to 21. I only want to see the free models that are tier 1. Boom, we're down to these 3 models here. So this way, a brand new user could get logged in and could do some free modeling just to see if they like what's going on with the app. But as you get more and more advanced, maybe you want to look at some of the premium functionality, and you want to look at some of the ones that are 3D printable. You can see we've got 31 models here that are 3D printable. And we're going down through here, but you know what? I've already done the ones that were first released a long time ago. Well, check this out. Just recently released this new sort by first or sort by last. So now I can flip that, and now I can see the most recently released models first here up at the top of the list. So if you guys like that, put a 1 in the chat if you're excited to see that new functionality, sort by newest first, and that way we can kind of see the newest things that have been submitted here. Now, one of the things that our users really enjoy doing is they like looking at these models, and they like doing a speed run of these models. So they come in here, they say try again, they want to do a speed run, so they say reveal drawing, and boom, now they're going to go through here and they're going to try and speed run this. But one of the challenges was if you mess up on your speed run, you have to click back here and kind of refresh the page and then do try again. Well, no longer is that the case. Now you're going to see that if you happen to mess up on your speed run, you can just click cancel here. The drawing goes back here to being minimized, and then you just click reveal drawing again, and boom, the clock is back to 0. So you don't need to go all the way back anymore. That makes it a lot easier for those of you that are doing speed runs. So if you like that, put an S in the chat, S for speedrun. And that is another new enhancement that was just recently added, I think, over the past week. We're always trying to add this new functionality. We listen to our customers. We listen to our users. We discuss these things a lot in the Discord. And a lot of times in the Discord, people say, you know what would be nice would be if I didn't have to go like this every time I want to get to the very last model. So now you don't have to do that. And you know what else would be nice would be if I didn't have to scroll all the way back up to the top. Well, check this out. There's a new button here, a scroll up button. So you can just click on that button and boom, you're back up at the top. And then you could say sort here and boom, now we can see, oh, there's been 2 new models added since all the ones that I finished. That's pretty nice. Now I can get through and start adding those too. And that way I can get up to the top of the leaderboard. So all this great new functionality constantly being added. We're always trying to improve this so that we can give you the most for your money. Practice models is available for free, but if you want to unlock the entire library and want to unlock some of this additional functionality, it's $8.99 a month if you buy it for 1 month. It's $7 a month if you buy it for 6 months. That's, of course, $42 because 42 is the answer to everything. And it's $583 if you buy it for a year. And, of course, that's $69.99. You got to have these numbers in your billing setup if you're doing things the right way. So be sure to check it out. It's great value. It's like a gym for 3D CAD users. And if you happen to know anybody who is a 3D CAD user, let them know about TooTallToby.com. They can come in and they can work out their CAD muscles. Of course, I want to say thank you to our developers, Bodie McBoatpants and Hubi3DFX. Without these guys, none of this great functionality would be possible. So be sure to give them a shout out if you see them in the chat. All right, guys, we're going to be using that in the second half of the show. Make sure you sign up for a free account so you can participate in the second half of the show. We're going to base our answers on the top 42 or the first 42. And as I've mentioned a couple of times now, if you really want to get in on the party, you got to visit us at the Discord. That's where all the true secrets are revealed. All right, that's it for now. Let's take a look at our first challenge. Let's just take a moment here and hit the like button on this video. What do we got here in this video? We got 66 people watching, almost 69 people watching, and we got 30 likes. So let's see what we can do to get that like count up to 69 as well. Let's get that 1-to-1 ratio going. So take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the channel with some other people. And let's take a look at this first challenge. The answer to this first challenge will be revealed here in just a moment, but let's take a look through the chat and see who answered first in the chat. So I believe the first answer came in pretty quick after we showed the drawing. Spider Gaming 2.35, Matab 1.57, Rambros Workshop 1.57, Sebastian 1.57, Rambros again 1.57, spamming it in there in case it's getting blocked. Victor K 1.57, and let's see here, Spider Gaming 1.57, Gummy 1.57, Kate coming in with the answer 1.57, Mesa Makes 1.57, Paragene 1.57, Tobin 1.57. I love seeing this conversion of answers. Dom Linder coming in 1.57, Jim U 1.57, J-Lo Man coming in 1.57, PC Arduino 1.57. Very nice, very nice. And let's see here. I know somebody said that they answered and it kind of came in the wrong order. I remember they said it came in right near Dom. Christopher coming in here 1.57. Very nice. And well done, everybody. Very nicely done. If you were able to answer that and answer it that quickly, that is awesome. You did an awesome job. But there can only be one winner, and that winner is Matab. 1.57 is correct. Matab was the first one to answer that correctly. We saw Spider Gaming came in first, but Matab was the first one to come in with the correct answer. 1.57 pounds is correct. So, guys, put a GG in the chat for Matab. GG, Matab. Well done. Well done, my friend. That is awesome. And congratulations. Oops, at Mesa Makes. No, at Matab. There we go. Congratulations, my friend. Well done, well done. Nice job. Matab earns a point here. That will be his, I guess, his third point, right? It'll be his third point because there's a little typo on the leaderboard. Well done. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the second half of the show. Congratulations to everybody who got that. That was not necessarily well, not really that difficult of a model, but a pretty cool model. And it's not easy to model it up that fast, but I'm very excited to see what types of things people come up with. I was having a lot of fun in Onshape doing things like extruding this first and then taking this surface and extruding it, deciding whether or not to extrude both of them together or to mirror them. I think this might be a case where it's actually better to just draw both halves and extrude both halves together rather than mirroring. But I'd be really interested to see kind of what people come up with. Normally a model like this you would mirror, but this might be that kind of rare case where it might actually be better just to do the mirroring at the sketch level and then extruding that whole thing as solid instead of mirroring at the feature level. But that's where I think we're gonna have a lot of fun when we add this one to the Practice Models app and we can see how people do tutorials and speed runs for this challenge. PC Arduino joining the channel at Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. Thank you so much, my friend. Very much appreciated. And of course, we will be getting out some more of those custom models for people that are joining at that level. A promotion we had a few months ago. We're going to start it back up again here in another couple of weeks. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the channel support. And now you have access to all those fun icons as well. All right, guys, for this second half of the show, for challenge number 2, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to visit TooTallToby.com, and we are going to make sure that we are all signed up for an account because in just a moment, a new practice model is going to be released. You're going to go to TooTallToby.com. You're going to go to the practice models page, and you're going to start refreshing on the practice models page. So when we go in here and we say access full library, what we're going to see here is that in just a moment, a new challenge is going to show up at the top in the featured models. And when we see that new challenge in the featured models, boom, this challenge is live. It's going to be in the next 10 seconds. So get over to TooTallToby.com, get logged in. See, it's not here yet. It's not here yet. We're going to hit refresh and it's going to be there. We're going to hit refresh, and it's going to be there. And so what you're going to see is that there's going to be a brand new featured model here. There it is, 250706, and boom, this challenge is live. So good luck. This one is a mold/drafted part challenge, and this is one that I'm very excited to solve here live for all of you using Onshape, and we will get into that in just a moment. So go ahead, jump into, it says click here to practice, jump into it, and all of you can attempt to model this. And now we are going to attempt to model this together using Onshape. So right now we're watching this episode of Model Monday Live. It's July 21st, and all the people over in the chat, you can see the chat over on the left, all those people are attempting to create this 3D CAD model, and now we are going to try to create it as well. Maybe we can beat some of these speedsters in the chat. If you haven't joined us for Model Monday Live in the past, be sure to join us for the next episode. And on this second half of the show here, we are going to be challenging the chat, challenging each other by doing a live solve using Onshape and by solving this thing using the TooTallToby Practice Models app. So we're going to head on over to TooTallToby.com. We're going to sign up for a free account. We're going to click Access Full Library. And we're going to see here that up at the top of the library, this is a library of over 190 challenges. They can be sorted by the type of challenge that you're trying to do, whether you're trying to do a 3D printed part or a woodworking part or a sheet metal part. They can be sorted by the level of complexity here, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. Can do all this cool sorting here. But what we're also able to do is we're able to participate in these featured challenge practice models up at the top of the screen. And right now, all the people who are watching Model Monday Live are trying to complete this challenge here. So I'm going to click here to practice. And we're going to see here that there's a lot of skills that are tested in this challenge. Draft, patterns, revolve, ribs, slot tools, symmetry, thin walls. I got a feeling this is a part that's going to be plastic injection molded just from that list of skills there. So let's see here. Nobody's done this yet. I mean, we just released it about 30 seconds ago, so of course nobody's done yet. I'm going to say click here to begin and go. So the question here is, what is the mass of this part in XXX grams? And we're going to try to calculate that mass, and then we're going to enter it down here. And if we enter it correctly, we're going to earn a point. If we enter it incorrectly, it's going to say, no, your answer is incorrect. You need to keep trying. So we need to come up with the correct mass, and we need to come up with the correct material density. So we see down here in the title block that the material density is 1020 kilograms per cubic meter, and that is the material ABS, which I've already got in my Onshape custom library. So what I like to do is, even though the clock is running, before I get started, I like to kind of come up with a game plan of how I'm going to model this thing up. So I'm looking at this thing, I'm seeing that there's a lot of draft on this part. We see that there's 6-degree draft typical. So we've got this draft here on this sidewall, some draft here as well, some draft here in this kind of center hub area, some draft all the way down to the bottom here. It is kind of interesting. There's a section here that's got a note on it that says 10 millimeter straight section. So it's almost like the sidewall here. If we're looking at this thing in the isometric view, there's like a straight section there for some reason. Normally you wouldn't see that in injection molding, although, you know, depending on the geometry and depending on the material, sometimes you could get the ejector pins to push that part out, even if it had a flat wall there. But you run the risk of that maybe getting stuck in the mold. So normally you wouldn't have that. But in the case of this model, we can see that we do have a little section on the model that is truly vertical. It's kind of interesting there. All right, so now let's talk about the game plan. So I think in a model like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with a revolved shape. So with a revolve, what you would do is you would start out with maybe a construction line. So like a construction line coming up here through the middle, and then you would create the geometry that you're going to be revolving about that construction line. So I think what I'll probably do is draw a shape that looks something like this. If we were imagining this as a section view, I'll create a shape that looks something like this. And I'll leave that gap there for that center bore, and then I will revolve that about a center line, and that's going to give me kind of the main wheel shape. So if we're looking at this over here in the section view, that shape that I just drew is going to look something like this. It's going to come up here, over, down, at the angle. I'm going to include the draft angle there, over, up, at a draft angle, down here. Then we'll have this little straight section, and then we'll close that off. That's going to be my first sketch, along with a little construction line here, and that way I can revolve that first sketch. I think the next feature that I'm going to try to tackle is going to be this rib shape. So we notice here that with these notes on the rib shape, we're starting out here 8 millimeters down from the middle of the part, 5 millimeters down here from the outside of the part. And it looks like that rib has some curvature to it. It looks like it's got a radius here of 220 millimeters. So it's kind of an interesting rib shape, kind of a curved rib shape. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably create that right here, right on the right plane, create that rib. And then I think I'm just going to bring it down with some straight geometry, just straight down into the model. And then I'll go back in afterwards and add some draft, because you can see here, the rib draft begins from this face down here. Another little Toby note there. You wouldn't normally see that in an engineering drawing, but we're doing kind of education here. But instead what you would typically see is like this section view BB, where we're clearly seeing this is 16 millimeters at the bottom, and then we're seeing it's got 6 degrees per side of draft going up to the top. We can also see that there's a note here looking down on this thing from the top view. These ribs are 16 millimeters at the base. So a little bit tricky here. If you've never done any injection mold design, this might be a little bit new to you. But basically, we'll add some draft here using what's called neutral plane, and then we'll bring that up. This is kind of a cool feature because we're also going to be able to use what's called intersection curve, which is it's kind of like a cool thing that you can do when you're working in 3D CAD. All right, so that takes care of those features, and then I think the final feature we're going to need to create is going to be this slot shape. And once again, we do have some draft here on this slot shape. So we can see that we've got this dimension 40 at the bottom, 40 at the bottom here, and then we've got this 6 degrees of draft, 60 degrees of draft on that slot shape. And then if we come over here, we see that this note says 55, radius 55, so this radius 55 here at the rear wall. Radius 95 at the rear wall. And so that 55 and that 95 makes that 40 that we saw there in that side view. So I think what I'll do is I'll create that sketch on this back face, and then I'll probably just cut extrude it with draft. May as well just include the draft in that cut extrude. So a few different ways that we're going to be creating draft here. Draft during the revolve, draft in the rib with the neutral plane draft as its own feature, and then draft as part of the cut extrude. And then once we're done, we can just pattern that around 3 times, and we should be good to come up with the answer. So let's see if any of our if that comes in correct. Let's see if any of our speed demons in the chat are able to beat me. And I'm going to move this over to my second screen so that I can start creating a document here in Onshape. So I'm going to say create document, and we're going to call this 25-07-06 tri-wheel W draft, tri-wheel with draft. Now, the thing is, I'm going to be creating this here in the Onshape public space. And the nice thing about this is that if you're using Onshape either as a paid user or even if you're using the free version of Onshape, you can search this public space and you can search for this file name. And then you would be able to see my model with the history tree. And so the nice thing about that is even if you're not an Onshape user, if you get stuck with this model, it might be helpful just to kind of poke through the history tree, and it might help you get unstuck. So really nice feature there of Onshape, that ability to create that geometry and then have it shared out to the world, really. So I'm going to say create public document, and that way anybody who wants to can get in and search for that document. Jern in the chat says, definitely seems on upper end of tier 4. Lots of little details. Yeah, it was surprising to me how few features ended up in the tree. So, you know, the tier 4 is really the complexity more so than the difficulty. And the complexity is just based on the number of features. Difficulty is a little bit more subjective, right? Based on your experience. If you do injection mold all day, every day, then this probably won't be that difficult. But if this is your first time, you know, working with an injection molded part, you might get a little bit lost in the details for sure. All right, so now that we are in this model here in Onshape, I'm going to start out just by clicking on this icon up here. And what that icon up there is going to do is it's going to give me access to a menu. It's called a hamburger menu, and it's from the hamburger menu that I can choose my workspace units. And I just always like to do this. I like to look at the drawing, look at the title block. It says it's in MMGS. So I always like to make sure that my unit for length is in millimeters and my unit for mass is in grams. So those two both look like they're correct. Now let's get into our game plan here and start with our first sketch. And I think what I'll do is I'll go to the right plane to create this sketch. I don't know. I'm not really sure which plane I want this to be on. I mean, this is kind of like the front view, right? Should I sketch it on its side? This is always a question that is sometimes easier to answer when you know how the model is used. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this my right plane like this. And I'm just going to sketch the whole thing on the right plane like that in kind of an upright position. I don't know if that's good or not. It depends on how this model's used in an assembly, but it should work fine. So right plane, I'm going to press the S key. I'm going to begin a sketch. I'm going to press the N key. Actually, before I get started here, let's bring up our keyboard cam. That way you guys can see all the keyboard shortcuts I'm using. So I click on the right plane, press the letter S, choose the sketch command, press the letter N. Now I'm in a new sketch on the right plane, and what N does is it rotates the view normal too, so it's a little easier to see. Now I'm going to press the S key again. I'm going to create a line here, single click the origin, move over. I'm going to press Q. That makes that for construction, and I'm just going to drop a line out here. Maybe I'll make this close to the 60 millimeter max height, just to give me like a little bit of a sense of proportion. Now I'm going to hit escape, and now I'm going to create some additional geometry using the line command. So single click the line command. I could click here on this point, move up, single click, let go of my mouse, and type 15 because that lower bore is 30 millimeters. Then I can come out this way the rest of the way. And again, I'm just kind of trying to establish a sense of proportion so that I'm not too far off with my kind of final results here. So this one I'm going to come up at 10 millimeters. So I'll move over here, 10, single click, let go, 10, enter. Then I'm going to kind of come up at an angle, move down this way, single click, let go of my mouse. I'm going to type in 10 because that upper ledge there is 10 millimeters. Move back down here at an angle. Now the base is also 10 millimeters, so I could hold my mouse over this point and then get a relationship there of vertical. And that way I don't have to add that extra dimension. Move my mouse down this way, move my mouse up like so. Move single click, move my mouse this way, single click, let go of my mouse. I can type in 10 again, enter, and then I can finish off by just coming down here to that original point. Single click, and boom, done. Now, personally, I think I would rather have a diameter here at the bottom, so I think I'm going to hit escape, single click, eliminate that dimension, maybe even eliminate that line. It's not really going to hurt me, but it's just kind of in the way. And then I could take this point and make them vertical, V. So that line there goes black. This line here, it's orange currently. You can see it's black, meaning it's fully constrained. And now I can go S key dimension, and I can create a dimension from this point to this line and then move across that line. And that lets us create what's called a doubled dimension in Onshape. Very useful in Onshape. So we're going to make that 30, enter. We're going to create a dimension here from this point to that line. Again, cross over that line for that doubled dimension. That's going to be 260, enter. We could create a dimension that goes from this line to this line. That dimension is going to be at a height of, what is the height to that location? Let's see here, 40, enter. And then a dimension from this line to this line. That's going to give us a height of 60, enter. And then the final dimensions that we're going to put in here are going to be our draft angles. So from this line to this line here, that's going to be a draft angle of 6. From this line to this line here, that's going to be 6 plus 6, so that gives us 12. So draft in both directions. Dimension here from this line to this line here, that's going to be 6. And then a dimension here from this line to this line, that is going to be 12. And for me personally, I think this is a great place to stop with that first sketch. So it gives us, you know, all the key dimensions for that revolve. The sketch is starting to get a little cumbersome, and I don't really like it when my sketches get too complicated. So if you're watching this as a tutorial, maybe you want to just take a moment, pause the video, and get your sketch to look like this, and then you'll be ready to move into the next step and turn this thing into a revolve. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to choose to revolve this thing. I see in the chat, Sebastian in the chat says, that one fried my brain. Yeah, this is definitely one it's got a lot of cool little details. So I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that your brain got fried, but I'm glad to hear that you like these kinds of challenges, because these are the fun ones. Remember, the website's supposed to be like a gym for your brain. TooTallToby.com, practice models. It should be like a gym for your brain. So if your brain feels fried this time and you go back and do it again, you're going to feel a lot stronger. And then when you run into something like this at the office, you're going to be ready to go, ready to handle it. So let's say this is our first sketch. We're going to go to revolve. So in Onshape, what I do here is I've got this whole sketch. I've got this center line that I'm going to revolve about. So I just click revolve, and then I just press tab. And what tab will do is it'll advance me from this box down to this box. So I use the tab key as a shortcut there for that workflow. So tab, now I'm in revolve axis. Now I can just click on this line down here, my center line, and then I can just press enter. Boom, there's that revolved shape, and that's kind of the main shape of the wheel. So I think this thing is looking good, and if you think it's looking good as well, be sure to hit the like button on this video. And let's now move on. So I'm going to press Shift 7, which is my shortcut for isometric, and that way I can kind of see which plane is cutting down through the middle here, and it looks to be my right plane. So I'm going to pick that right plane, S key, begin a sketch. And now I'm in sketch mode here on the right plane. And now I'm going to use a really cool command in Onshape called intersection curve. Now, what intersection curve or intersection does is it lets us grab the intersection of the right plane, which we're sketching on, and this face here, which is a cone. So it's going to let us grab the intersection of that and turn it into a line. It's going to let us grab the intersection of the right plane and this face here, which is planar. So we're going to have a line that comes across here. It's going to let us grab the intersection of this face here, which is a cone, and the right plane. So it's going to let us create a line here like so. And I'm just going to grab a few other lines. And the reason I'm doing this is because I think it just really makes it easy for you to visualize what's going on through that section of the model. So I'm sketching here on the right plane. I'm going to fly out this menu here that says use, and I'm going to choose intersection. And then I'm going to start picking these faces. So this face here, well, wherever that face is intersecting the right plane, we see that lines have been created. This face here, wherever that face is intersecting the right plane, lines have been created in my sketch. And this face here, and this face here, and maybe even this face here. And so that really makes it easy for you to quickly get it's almost reference geometry that you're going to need to create this rib shape, or that's going to help you to create this rib shape. Because now to create the rib, all we need to do is choose the 3-point arc command. So I'm going to exit the intersection command. I'm going to choose the 3-point arc command. I'm going to draw an arc that goes from here to here. So a little arc there between those two. And then I'm going to give that arc the radius of 220. 220, enter. And now what do I need to do? All I need to do now is just add in my dimensions. So I'm going to press the S key, go to dimension. I'm going to create a dimension here that goes from this line to this point. And that dimension is going to be at 5, enter. And whoops, let's hit escape. Let's get this point down below here. S key, dimension from this line down to this point. And that's going to be a dimension of 8. And boom, we are done with that sketch. That's the sketch for the rib. Now, I know that there's a lot of extra geometry here. Do we have to go through and delete that? No, not at all. Not in Onshape. We can just exit the sketch, choose the rib command. So here's the rib command in Onshape, rib up at the top there. And then once we choose that rib command, we can choose our sketch profiles, which is just going to be this arc here. We can then choose this second box here. I noticed that it really helps if you choose this second box here, parts, and then just click this part here. And so if you're not getting your rib preview, that may be what you need to do. That may be the extra step. Just make sure that you click in that second box and click this part. And then you've got the option here, parallel to sketch plane or normal to sketch plane. So you see normal to sketch plane, it's going a little bit crazy, and parallel to sketch plane, it actually works this time. And basically what that means is that when we sketched on the right plane. The right plane is running through the model like this. So the rib is also going to be running through the model like this. So it's just going to run parallel to the sketch plane as opposed to normal to the sketch plane, which would be like 90 degrees from the sketch plane. Sometimes that's what we want, but not in this example. So we're going to change that thickness there to, let's see here. We're going to change the thickness to 16 millimeters, enter. And there we go. There is our rib. We're also going to use this option here that says extend profiles to part. That will extend this little extra amount here. If that extra amount wasn't coming through, that'll extend that extra amount. And then we can hit the green check mark, and that creates our rib at 16 millimeters. Now, the one thing about this face here that really doesn't look that good is that we've got this face and this face and this face. We've got these kind of extra faces here. So is that really going to make that big a deal? It might not. You know, it depends on if you're using finite element analysis. It depends on if your machinists have a problem with having those extra faces. So if you do want to get rid of those faces, I think the best way to do that is to use delete face. So I'm going to choose delete face here. And when I choose delete face, I can choose this little, it's almost like a little dingus there, a little extra geometry that I wasn't anticipating. So I'm going to delete those two little faces and I'm going to say heal, and I hit the green check mark, and oh yeah, that's what we wanted. Thumbs up in the chat, thumbs up in the video if you enjoy that usage of delete face. We always see those questions. Is there any way to get rid of these extra little faces? Well, a lot of times the way you get rid of them is with delete face. Yeah, delete face is absolutely epic. So now we're going to add draft manually, or after the fact, or after the feature. And we're going to do that by choosing this button right here, draft. So we choose draft, and then we say neutral plane. Now what neutral plane is it's where the draft is originating from. And in the case of this rib, the draft is going to originate from that bottom face of the model. We saw some notes on that, and we also see that in the section view BB. So the draft is going to originate from the bottom face of the model, or from this face here, the bottom of the pocket. So that is our neutral plane. And then for our entities to draft, we're going to choose this face and this face. And then finally, we're going to say that draft angle is supposed to be 6 degrees per side. So you would just type in 6 here, enter, and enter. And then we look at that rib. We look at the isometric view. Thumbs up. That looks pretty darn good. So that takes care of that feature. And now the final feature we need to create is the cut extrude on the back side of this, and then the pattern. So we're going to roll around here to the back side. We're going to begin a sketch on this face here. S key, begin a sketch, N key to get normal to. And we are going to create a sketch of a line. So we'll just, or sorry, of an arc. So we're just going to create a sketch of an arc here like so. And then we're going to hit escape. We will take this point of the arc and this point here at the origin and press I for coincidence. And then we are going to create a dimension there. So that dimension is going to be, so S key will create a dimension here. It's going to go from, actually, you know what? Let's create a dimension here let's create some angle dimensions here. So we'll create a line here as well. I'll use Q to make that a construction line. And I'll create a line here as well using Q to make that a construction line. Let's create some angle dimensions here. So we'll create an angle dimension here at 25. We'll create an angle dimension here at 25. And then once we have those angle dimensions, let's just turn that arc into a slot. So we go up here to the offset command. And when you fly out the offset command in Onshape, you can choose slot. So I'm going to choose slot here, and then I'm going to choose this arc, and then that slot distance is going to be that 40 dimension. So it's going to be the difference between radius 55 and radius 95. It's going to be the difference between these two dimensions here, this radius 55 at the bottom and this radius 95, the radius down here and the radius down here, or up here. So we're going to create that at 40. So this dimension here is going to be 40, enter, enter, and then we can do a dimension for that lower arc, dimension for this lower arc here, and that dimension for that lower arc is going to be 55. And once you have those dimensions in place, that sketch should be fully constrained or fully defined. So again, if you want to pause the video, make sure that you've got that in the correct location if you're following along with the tutorial. And once we've got that, now we're ready to take this geometry and turn it into a cut extrude. So we once again choose extrude. So there we go. This is going to be a remove. So we're going to be removing that. This could probably go through all. The only reason I'm saying probably is because sometimes when you have a draft, the draft can end up cutting into this wall. So I'm going to say draft for this, and I'm going to say I want that draft to be, let's say we made it 20 degrees. Well, if that draft is at 20 degrees or more, maybe like if it was at 40 degrees, yeah, see here, it could end up cutting into this wall here. But I think with a very small draft, like 6 degrees, we're not going to have that problem. We got plenty of clearance there. So 6 degrees draft, that's going to give us 6 degrees per side, and we hit the green check mark. And boom, there is our slot with draft. So, you know, pick on that feature in the tree, Shift N for rename. And you could call that something like slot with draft. And maybe this one up here that we did earlier, the rib, click on that rib, Shift N for rename. This could be called rib with no draft. So that I know, you know, that some of the features have draft included in them. Some of them do not have draft included in them. So now in Onshape, we're going to finish this off by going into this flyout menu here. We're going to say circular pattern. And you want to remember in Onshape that you have to fly out this menu here and choose feature pattern. So circular pattern, feature pattern, and the features that I'm going to pattern, well, because I renamed them, it's pretty easy to find them here in the tree. Rib with no draft, and then the next feature, delete face, draft, slot with draft. There we go. And then the axis of the pattern, I'll just choose a circular edge. I'll choose this one here at the OD. And then the number of instances here is going to be 3, enter. And look at that. That pattern's looking good in the preview. So I'm going to hit enter again or hit the green check mark. And there we go. There is the model. We do what we call the final spin. Kind of look at this thing all around, make sure it looks like the drawing. I think that looks pretty good. And so now I'm going to go down here to the name of the part at the bottom. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say assign material. And this material here is going to come from the TooTallToby library. I've got a video on this on how to set up the TooTallToby materials library. So I'll be sure to include a link to that video here in this tutorial. But we're going to say that material is going to be ABS and hit the green check mark. And then I'm going to come down here to this corner and I'm going to choose this little mass properties button, mass properties, and I'll click on this wheel anywhere on the wheel. And I'm coming up with a mass here of 943 grams. So now I'm going to come back over here into the app and I'm going to type in that answer 943, enter. And oh yeah, we did it. Yes, we did it. We got it correct. Always feels good to get that purple box. And we see here that our time of 22:29 will be submitted and I'll be awarded 1 point on the community scoreboard. So I'm going to say submit and yes, we did it. We got that answer correct. And so that is your Onshape live solve tutorial. If you enjoyed that tutorial, be sure to hit the like button on this video. Be sure to leave me a comment down below. But now we're going to turn back to our live stream, this episode of Model Monday Live, which we're live streaming here. And we see that while I was doing that tutorial, 9 people completed that challenge. That is awesome. And so if we go in here and we look at our first 42, we can see that the very first person to finish that one was none other than Rambros Workshop, our current world champion of 3D CAD speed modeling using Fusion, and did it in just 7 minutes and 22 seconds from the time that the model was released. So it took me 22 minutes. It took Rambros a mere 7 minutes and 22 seconds. That is super impressive. Followed quickly by Victor K using Onshape, 8 minutes, 46 seconds. Followed by MCGA, 11 minutes, 35 seconds. By Jackie coming in with 12 minutes and 7 seconds from Hong Kong. We see Dom here did it in 12 minutes, 39 seconds. We see Kate did it. Leopold 340 did it here in 15 minutes, 36 seconds. Matab did it here using SolidWorks in 18 minutes. We got Jim U. Kerberos doing it here in FreeCAD in 25 minutes and 1 second. And then finally, we've got Nikola Tesla, that's my account, using Onshape, doing it here in 25 minutes, 18 seconds. And Perkins coming in on the bottom here from Ireland, 25 minutes and 19 seconds. So very nicely done to everyone. Definitely not an easy challenge, but a fun one for sure. A fun challenge here. So congratulations to Rambros Workshop. You did it. You got it correct. You were the first person to get it correct, and you earned the point for this episode of Model Monday Live. Congratulations to Matab as well for earning that first point And I hope you guys enjoyed that live solve. Lots of cool stuff in that model. And if you guys did enjoy these challenges today, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to share and reshare. Be sure to tell people about TooTallToby.com. Get them to sign up for Practice Models and for Practice Models Premium. It's not only incredibly useful for you as a CAD user, but it also helps support us and helps us keep the doors open for as long as we can here at TooTallToby. And, of course, the answer to that one was 943 grams. I want to again say congratulations to Matab for earning that first point today. Congratulations to Rambro's Workshop for earning that second point today. And thank you all so much to the most amazing chat ever. We got 73 people watching right now. We've got a total of 55 likes. Let's see if we can get that like count up a little bit closer to 70. And Rich Penn in the chat says, when is the next tournament date? Great question, Rich. Join us this Friday, July 25th. Tournament matches number 3 and 4 are going to go off this Friday. And guys, in that tournament, what we've done is we've seeded that tournament. And last week we saw the number 4 and the number 5 seed battling it out. We saw the number 3 and the number 6 seed battling it out. But here, this Friday, we're going to see something special. We're going to see none other than Matab, our number 1 seed, going up against Lotos, our Compass 3D user. And we're going to see Gray, our number 2 seed, going up against Mr. Corey Mesa. Mesa makes our resident Onshape wizard. So these are going to be some really epic matches this week. I'm very excited to see how things turn out in these matches. Be sure to join us this Friday live at 1 p.m. right here on the same channel. Remember, you can visit TooTallToby.com/tournaments. You can get all those calendar appointments so you can add them to your calendar. And again, I want to say thank you all so much. What a fun way to start the week. I know we went into a little bit of overtime here today, but I just want to say thank you all so much for joining me here today on this live stream. I love these tournament weeks because we get to do 2 live streams together. So be on the lookout this week. We're going to post a lot of highlight videos from the tournament, and be sure to share those with your social media network. I know a lot of you out there have been sharing them with your network. We have seen the growth on the channel here grow, and a big reason for that is because you guys are out there, our street team, sharing this with your social media network. So even if your social media network is just a chat with your family on Telegram, be sure to share it with all of them as well. Spread it to your chat group on your Apple iPhones or whatever smartphone you use. Share it out to your groups, and that will help us continue to spread the word. You never know who's out there who wants to learn CAD, and we've got some great resources for them as well. Matab says Lotos is practicing every day. Yeah, for sure. Well, good luck to our runners this Friday. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with all of you today. Thank you so much for joining me this episode of Model Monday Live. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And I will look forward to seeing all of you either this Friday in the tournament live stream or next week on Model Monday Live. See you, everybody.